Hello and welcome to the meditation conversation. I am so excited today to have Niamh joining. Niamh is a cacao medicine woman and a biofield tuner. And she is a world explorer and a peace seeker and a shamanic student and so much more. So I'm really excited to dive into some of these topics that we haven't explored yet on the podcast. So welcome, Niamh.
Hi, Kara. Hi, listeners. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. I absolutely love the message that you are spreading about consciousness, expansion, healing, and growth. I feel that it is super important. And thank you so much for everyone who is listening. There are an infinite, endless possible places that you could be right now, and you are choosing to be here with myself and Kara to learn and also to teach. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. So, where are you joining us from today, Niamh?
So I am in Ireland at the moment. I'm originally from Ireland. I have spent many years working in London, and following this, I went to Abu Dhabi, so into the Middle East. Following this, then I came back to Ireland just for 1 year, and then I moved to Portugal, and that's led me to this moment here. So I have been around the world and back again, but I've been back in Ireland now for the past 3 days.
I was going to say, you must not have been in Ireland long because I had seen on Instagram, I think, that you were in Portugal like not very long ago at all. So, 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to relocate to Portugal last October. The winter months in Ireland get very cold and a bit dreary, and I really enjoy the sun, and I really feel that it helps to lift my spirits. So I moved to Portugal and I set up a healing retreat center in Portugal for a couple of months, traveled around, and I really feel for me, a lot of my expansion and growth in the past year came from being in Portugal. The people of Portugal are very connected to the land. They have a very slow paced life and they really do work on their spiritual healing. So I really immersed myself in those communities. And now I've come back to Ireland for the summer. I'll be offering retreats and events here in Ireland, bringing back all of the wisdom and knowledge that I have. So I've been so blessed to learn in Portugal. So here I am in Ireland.
That's so fascinating because Ireland has such a rich history of connection with the land and the earth and the elementals and all of that. And I don't know, I don't know how connected you feel with that being Irish. I lived in the UK for a few years, and I made it to did I go to Dublin? I think I went yeah, yes, I was. I went to Dublin like one weekend. So I've spent like a tiny bit of time in Ireland, um but I think of like traditionally like the Celtic culture and so forth as so connected to the land and the planet. And I know that there's been a lot of change, over the years with Christianity taking over, for example. But do you feel like just within you growing up there, did you feel more connected to Portugal, or do you feel that connection to the elements and things when you're back in Ireland?
So when I was growing up, I grew up in a very Catholic family. And you know exactly what you've shared. A lot of the Celtic pre-Christianity has been lost in Ireland, but it is starting to come back now again. So growing up, I didn't know much about the elements, about the earth, about nature. And now that I have started my own spiritual path, which has only been, in the last 3 years, I really feel a deep connection and a deep call back to Ireland to reconnect and to remember what I wasn't taught as a child or what was forgotten through school. religion, society, education. So now that I am back in Ireland, I am putting myself out there to connect with Irish shamans and with people who are studying Irish culture and history. And this weekend, I'm heading off to a big summer festival with all bonfires and bringing all of the communities together. So yes, now that I am back to Ireland, I am aware that people actually are still studying this and they are connected to the rich culture here in Ireland. But because I wasn't taught about that as a child, I didn't know it exists. So now I'm remembering again, which feels really, really good.
Yeah, it's fascinating how we sometimes like look for it, so we feel drawn somewhere else to help us to connect deeper, and then get called back or find that that there are pieces to the mystery within us that were kind of under our noses, and but there's like a whole journey. I mean, isn't that so reminiscent of, did you ever read The Alchemist?
No, but I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you may want to check that book out because it's very much, I won't go into it too much, but it's like this whole journey that's very like complete, and it feels like, and you're very young, like you've got so much of this is like just one step along in your journey that will carry on for a long time, I have no doubt. But it's really interesting to see like how these things weave and and get and sometimes turn back on themselves, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so perfect. And the main thing is that you keep awareness and you keep your consciousness to what's actually happening, what's unfolding, whether you want to label it as good or bad, it's always there to teach us to the next step, the next door is open and another one closes. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So, as I mentioned, one of the things that you have studied and that you know a lot about is biofield tuner, and this is new for me. So, I would love to learn about it. What is a biofield tuner?
So biofield tuning is a form of energy medicine. It is a vibrational healing modality. And I use a tuning fork and a hockey puck to make a sound. And I can do a little demo. And I use the tuning fork and the hockey puck to emanate a sound. And then I use the sound to locate areas of stuckness in the human biofield. So it locates times of stress, turbulence, trauma, or resistance in your specific lifetime, depending on how old you are. So it locates them, but it also helps to discharge the time of stress or trauma. So I work specifically in your timeline from the time you were in your mother's womb all the way up until your current age. So I start at 0 and, for example, up until age 30, feeling and listening in every single year for times of stress, turbulence, or trauma. And for example, if I get stuck at age 15, then we hang out there for a couple of strikes of the fork until your biofield, also known as the aura or the energy field, releases this energy that has been stuck back at age 15. So we discharge the energy at that time and send it back inside your body into the main chakra system, the main energy system that is inside or around your body. So it the human biofield is extends 5 to 6 feet off either side of the human body. So we can then locate the time of birth, which is around 5 feet off the left or right hand side of your body. And then what's close to your physical body. is what's close and current. So what you're currently generating, what vibration you're currently giving off. And then everything else in between falls like rings on a tree. So that this is how we can specifically say at what age we are finding the stress or the trauma in the energy field. So as we hang out at these sticky spots, we discharge the energy. So you don't forget the memory from age 15, but you discharge from the emotional response. So the next time you face a stress or a trauma, you don't have a knee jerk response to how you reacted at age 15 because you are centered and you are grounded in the person you are today, not somebody who was hurt 15 years ago. So essentially, we go through the timeline, through the history, feeling and listening for resistance, and then we discharge the perturbations, sending the energy. Some people call it chi, prana, life force, biophotons, whatever word resonates with you. We collect it like on a magnet. Sound has magnetic qualities. So we collect it, drop it into your body, back into the present moment. So you get a reboot of energy. You get back your vital life force that has been shed into the fields around you and you didn't even know. So, say for example, you might see somebody who's going through a particularly challenging time, perhaps a recent breakup. They've no light in their face, they've no light in their body, and it's because they are shedding what we call biophotons or energy or light into the field around them. So they're not grounded in the present moment. They're not grounded in their body. They're somewhere else. So we go back, we take these energy, these biophotons, and we bring it back into your body. So you can get back, this zest for life, this excitement, this joy. So yeah, it really works on the emotions and the memories. It's really good for grounding, really good for physical pain. We penetrate the human body with sound. And some people may be more familiar with acupuncture, where we put needles in the body to release the stress, to release the energetic pathways. It's very similar with biofield tuning, apart from we are using sound to penetrate the human body, to clear static, to clear stagnation in the body, in the thoughts. But what makes biofield tuning a little bit more different is that it is very specific to the age and to the person's timeline. So we were quite often able to say at what age we're finding the resistance, but at the same time, people don't need to know what the memory is. For example, if I get stuck at age 15 and I'm sensing a sadness or a loss, the client doesn't need to know what the memory is. We don't need to go back over the emotions or the situation. It's because we are there to just release and let go so the client can move forward with their life. So I don't need to know what the experience was, and neither does the client. The most important thing is we're going to hang out at this sticky spot until it is released, until the tuning fork then becomes smooth as opposed to being very sticky, or it's like it's getting stuck. So essentially, the tuning fork, when it's hit against the hockey puck, it should make the same sound each and every time, as long as I am hitting it fairly consistently in the same way. However, when I stick the tuning fork in your energy field, suddenly it goes really high. That might signify an anxiety or a fear, or suddenly it might go really low, and that is saying that there might be some sadness or grief or loss. So when the tuning fork changes in tone or sound, then that is a feedback for me as the practitioner, but also for the client, that things there's something there that is not coherent, it's not smooth, it's not clear. So that's how we know where to hang out. So the tuning fork will change sound, or also there will be a different magnetic pull in the fork, and for me, it will be more challenging to move the fork through the field, and then also I might get sudden kind of intuitive downloads or color or visual or something. So yeah, there's many ways that there is feedback. Um, so yeah, that's essentially it. I mean, there's so much
Wow.
more to it. Yeah, there's so much more
Yeah,
to it.
that's
Um,
fascinating.
so just to bring in, a bit of the science, some people might really enjoy to hear some of the science behind this. Um, so I am a trained physiotherapist, and this is what I studied at university. Um, so I worked a lot with the mechanics of the body and also the chemical side of the body. So, if the body felt in pain, we would use the mechanics of the body to try and fix that. And also chemically, um, with pharmaceutical drugs to help with the pain. But what I really wasn't taught about was how the body is so electric. So our whole nervous system runs on axons and dendrites and the signals being passed across the nervous system. So this is all ran on electricity. Our heart has a heartbeat, like this is the beat of electricity. Our brain carries a signal of a beat. So, when you go to get a brain scan, it is measuring the electrical activity of your brain. And the same when you get a heart scan, it's measuring the electrical activity of the heart. Our bones are piezoelectric crystalline structures, meaning that they emit light and electricity when they are compacted. Our blood is salt and water, which carries an electric charge. So if you think about all of these systems, like we are electrical beings, like we really are electrical beings.
Yeah.
And a law of physics states that anything that has an electric current running through it will always create a magnetic field. And I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the magnet and the iron filings. So if you have a magnet, you can create a magnetic field around it using iron filings. So around the sun, we have the heliosphere. Around the earth, we have the ionosphere. So if the human body is creating an electrical charge running up through it, it's going to create a magnetic bubble, a magnetic field. And this is the biofield, also known as the aura or the energy field. So we get an electrical current from the surface of the earth, and this is our feminine yin energy. But so often we walk in rubber sole shoes that the magnetic energy from the earth is coming up to the soles of our shoes and then bouncing back off down into the earth. So we're not getting a balance of exchange with the earth, and then we have a backlog of electricity inside our body, which is uh, contributing towards inflammation in any ways, physical inflammation inside the body, but also anxiety, feeling trapped, feeling stuck, and yeah, just been really in our own body, in our thoughts. So we get one electrical current from the surface of the earth, and then also from the sky down, we get another electrical current, which is our masculine yang energy. Um, so quite often, because we spend so much time indoors and especially under artificial light, we are again not getting this balance of exchange with the nature energy that's around us. But it's really important for the human body to receive both the masculine and the feminine energies, the sky and the earth, to flow up and down through the central channel of the energy body. So this gives us vitality. It allows for discharge of energy, and it calls in fresh energy. So we don't just breathe in fresh air. It's full of vital life force. It's full of chi. It's full of prana, which is really, so important for the human body to cleanse and clear and release, because we hold so much. And we just not have been taught about this aspect of being human. Maybe some people have, but I know certainly for myself, I was not taught at school about being an electric being or being an energetic being,
Right.
that I
Yeah.
have that I have chakras, I have energy wheels that need clearing so I can feel better and I can show up here as a better human being. So yeah, that's some of the science behind it. So we are working with the electric body, also known as the energy body, to clear and to cleanse, and we use sound in a very specific way to do that.
That is fascinating. And thank you for taking us through all of that science because it's so important that we keep hearing these messages and keep connecting with the importance. I mean, what you're talking about with the magnetic or the electric fields around us and the earth, and the rubber soled shoes. There's a lot of earthing, that can help with that. I don't know. Do you recommend, because if you're not able to be barefoot on the land, which a lot of people in modern times, it's hard to get out on the earth with no shoes on all year round. Maybe in the summertime, that's more natural. But if you live where you have the seasons, um, it might not be. So, are there shoes that are good that can keep that conduction happening, where you're not sending that back down to the earth and it's actually able to more easily come up?
Yeah, I mean, great question, but I would really recommend, even if it is very cold outside or if it is wet, like trying your best to get your bare feet on the ground. Like have a hot water bottle ready, have a towel ready, have a hot shower ready. It only takes like it literally could only take like even just putting your feet on the ground for one moment, taking a deep breath in and out can supercharge your body. And I know and I understand and I respect that this might sound a bit crazy, because if somebody said this to me 3 years ago, I would have said, I'm not going to do that. I'm fine. But now that I have practiced it and I understand it on a very deeper level, it really will nourish and discharge. Even if you take a deep breath, it's like, you feel like you've just let the weight of the world fall out of you. If you can do that with your bare feet on the ground, whether it is water, mud, snow, grass, even just concrete is better than nothing. However, to answer your question, yes, I have shoes called Harmony 783s, and I actually got them imported from America. That's Harmony 783s, and they don't have rubber on the soles of the shoes. But also, if you wear leather shoes, I think they're called leather moccasins. Um, then yeah, as long as they don't have rubber, and even just walking inside your house without shoes is better, because you might be walking on wood or you might be walking on concrete or slate or whatever is in the home. And even, it doesn't have to be your bare feet. If you walk outside and put your hands on a tree, that's also super amazing. And you might hear about some people talking about tree hugging. It's also a thing. It's any connection with the earth, because if you think about it, if you are wearing rubber on the soles of your feet and you don't touch the earth at any point during the day, then it's a backlog. It's a backlog. It's a backlog. So just putting your hands down, even sitting, if you do have your clothes on, even just sitting on a stub of a tree, whatever it is in nature, it's gonna allow you to discharge this energy, this electricity. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. So, how did you get started on this path? You mentioned like 3 years ago, you wouldn't have been open to some of these ideas. And you also mentioned that you're a physiotherapist. So, how did all of this come together to bring you to where you are today?
So I trained as a physiotherapist in the UK, in London. I worked there for around 5 or 6 years, and then I got offered a job as a physiotherapist in Abu Dhabi, which is in the Middle East. So I went to Abu Dhabi, and in my second year working there, I found myself at a vegan food market fair that I had saw in the Time Out, a local magazine. I am not vegan, but I don't know why. I just went. And this beautiful lady called Julie offered me a session of biofield tuning. Just a free 20 minutes. She was just offering 20-minute free sessions. And at that time, I didn't know anything about energy healing. I didn't know anything about Reiki. And I was like, oh no, don't worry, don't waste your time. I'm going to leave now. And she's like, no, 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 come and sit down. So I did. And she was standing around 2.5 feet away from me. And my eyes were closed and I was sitting. And she said to me, she said, oh, I'm sensing a real sadness, a grief, and a loss. And it's related to your mother. And at this point, I was just crying uncontrollably. And like, usually in the past, when I closed my eyes, things were kind of like dark colors. But in this moment, it was like super bright. It was like flashing lights. And Julie was very on point because at age 12 was when my mum transformed into the spirit world. She passed away, she was ill. And in this moment with Julie, I was having uh, a massive emotional release, something that I had been carrying at that time for almost 15 years, and I didn't realize I was carrying it. So I was crying and crying, and I thought to myself, wow, I have met somebody who's psychic. This is so cool. And then I was like, am I crying because she's mentioned my mom? Or what's actually happening? Because this is such a new experience for me because I always held in my tears. I always was like, no, it's fine. I'll get on with this. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. And this, I just couldn't control it. So, I can reflect now and say that I was having a massive emotional release, but also I was having a spiritual awakening. So
Yeah.
as Julie finished, she said, okay, bye now. And I said, wow, no, something has happened here. I don't know what's happened. So we had a quick conversation, and I went outside on the grass, and I didn't know how to describe how I was feeling, but in that moment, all I could think of was I feel really, really healthy. But now on reflection, I can say things like I was grounded for the first time ever. I was clear. I was light. I was, setting myself free. So I looked up online, what is biofield tuning? And one of the first things that I read was anybody can learn how to do this. You don't have to have some spiritual background or anything. And in that exact moment, I said, I'm going to learn how to do this. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't even know why. I was just like, I'm learning how to do this. So I actually flew from Abu Dhabi to Ireland. Some of the teachers from America were in Ireland for a couple of days, so I did a foundations course, and then I ended up quitting my job as a physiotherapist in Abu Dhabi, and then I trained for a longer time in the UK in Manchester. And yeah, that was my journey. When I first started to practice biofield tuning, I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to know how to do this. Like, it's really challenging and I can't sense anything. And, it sounds the same. The fork isn't changing. But over, the last 2.5 to 3 years, and because of all of the other work, spiritual work, let's say, that I have been doing, I have really opened up to all of these other dimensions that, that are here all around us in every moment. But the more I've come back to myself, I'm able to tune in. So, yeah, then as I said, I left my job as a physiotherapist, and I went traveling for a while and came back to Ireland. And I was going to set up as a physiotherapist in Ireland, but everything just kept getting blocked, and I just didn't have the drive to do it. So in that moment, I had to face myself and those around me in terms of, kind of society status about being a physio, in contrast to being an energy healer, financial security, like holiday pay, benefits, state benefits. And I just said, I have to follow my heart in this moment. And I don't care if I don't earn as much money or if people think I'm woo woo, like something is just telling me to do this. So yeah, I just continue to do biofield tuning, and it's led me to this exact moment. And I am so blessed, and I'm so grateful that I continue to follow my heart.
That's so important. And so many people will resonate with that because as we do become more and more open, it's kind of that it's hard to start, it's hard to deny the desire to align, and it's like, and to have like this wholeness within us where it's like every expression of what we're doing is that expression of what we're discovering of ourselves, so including like, okay, I've got the option here. I'm at a crossroads. Do I take like the more comfortable path of physiotherapy that I know is going to support me in a certain way in this plane, and or do I honor that kind of deeper expression that's like more aligned and more comforting in that way because it's a truer expression of something deeper within me. But in this material world, it doesn't have the same sort of security as the other. These are like very real and difficult choice points that we have. And so it's really amazing to be able to answer the call and to try that path that is more of the unknown, and let that and see how that helps to complete us as a whole being. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. And if anybody listening is at this crossroads, I would recommend. I'd just like to share. If you don't try, you won't know. So if you are thinking a different path, but there's these questions and finances and drawbacks, and it's just fear. It's just fear, and fear wants to keep you comfortable, and nothing will grow in the comfort zone. Like, you have to step outside the box. Like, what I've learned in the past 3 years is more than I've learned in the past 26 years. So if you
Wow.
don't try, you're not gonna know. So
Yeah.
if you try and things don't work out, let's say as planned, or you're not as happy as you were previously, then you're going to take a different route. But this is all learning, and it's not about fear of failure. It's about learning. What can I learn here? How can I become a better human being for myself and for those around me? And it's always going to lead you to the next door, and it's always going to be perfect, whatever way it unfolds. So, yeah, get out there, make those changes, step outside the comfort zone, and you're not going to regret it. Like, you're really not. Even if it is really challenging, you're going to see your own strength behind all of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So let's switch gears a little bit because I'd like to talk about cacao. You're a cacao medicine woman, and I don't have any experience with it. So let's just start with what it is, if you don't mind.
Beautiful. Oh, this cacao is a plant medicine. So we have what we know about, let's say, cacao in modern day is, for you guys it's Hershey, for us it's Cadbury, um,
Yeah.
and this is what we know as chocolate. However, when we take a deeper look of actually what cacao is and where it has originally come from, so cacao as a medicine is a 100% ceremonial grade cacao, and it comes from Central and South America, mainly from Guatemala and Peru. And it has been dated back for its use for 4,000 years, but we could have suspicions that it has been used far before that as well. So the original chocolate tree, let's say, was grown in South America, grown in, let's say, Guatemala, Peru, Venezuela. And then over time, it began to come into West Africa. So nowadays, we get a lot of our Hershey's, or let's say Cadbury's chocolate, Lindt, from West Africa. So this isn't an original chocolate tree. And with things like Hershey's chocolate, there is a very, very small amount of 100% cacao in that. It is mixed with toxins, E numbers, chemicals, preservatives, milk, and sugar. And there, unfortunately, is a lot of slave trade in these countries. So there's not a lot of reverence and respect for the people who have helped get the chocolate to you in that moment, and also for the nature and for the earth. So this is the chocolate that we know, very chemically infused. So bringing it back now to Guatemala or Peru. So cacao comes originally from a tree called the Theobroma tree. So the roots of this tree are so deep within the earth in South America that it has the capability to take up very important, rich compounds, which I will speak about. So cacao comes from the Theobroma tree, and it grows in a big pod, which almost looks like a papaya. And when the indigenous farmers by hand uh, harvest these big pods, they open them by hand, and there is usually around 20 or 40 cacao beans inside each pod. The cacao beans look like coffee beans, but they're not coffee, they are cacao beans. The indigenous farmers, they take out each bean one by one, and then they ferment them and roast them and grind them and peel them down into a powder, and then they mix it with water, which makes a very hard paste, like a hard block of butter, and then it is sent to, let's say, for example, Ireland is sent around the world. So just to recap, that this cacao is straight from the tree and only mixed with water to make into a hard block. There is nothing else added. And very importantly, there is nothing taken away. It does not enter a factory. There is nothing stripped back. It is pure 100% cacao from the earth in Guatemala. The indigenous farmers, they sing and send prayers and intentions to the cacao tree, to the land, to the nature, and to the during the fermentation for the grounding process. They're sending love into this medicine, and then they're sending it across the world. So the main component in cacao is theobromine, and theobromine is a long acting cardiovascular stimulant. And what that means is it works on our cardiovascular system. So when we drink a lot of theobromine, it allows the smooth muscles of our heart to relax. So it gives us this real physical sensation of our hearts opening and expanding. So, along with our heart feeling relaxed and smooth and calm, our blood vessels and our veins open and widen. So, our blood pressure drops, our cholesterol drops, and we feel super calm. But along with this, it's bringing a lot of oxygen to our brain. So, we feel focused, we feel more clarity, more concentration. So, although the body feels relaxed and safe, our brains feel stimulated, we feel in the present moment. So the theobromine works on our cardiovascular system, and this is in contrast to coffee, which works on the nervous system. So coffee will give that caffeine quick fix, but then it's quick acting, and there's often a crash after, whereas cacao is long acting and it works on a completely different system. So this is where sometimes people feel a bit confused around cacao and coffee. So along with the theobromine, cacao is naturally so rich in a naturally occurring chemical called anandamide, which the body naturally produces, and this is what we call the bliss chemical. Along with this, it is full of phenylethylamine, which is a love chemical that our body naturally produces. So when we drink loads of anandamide, loads of phenylethylamine, we feel so much love, we feel so much joy, we feel so much connection, peace, connection to ourselves, but also a very beautiful community connection around us. Our body naturally produces these compounds, but because we live in such a fast paced society, stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol override these beautiful compounds. It's like when you first fall in love, maybe on your honeymoon phase, you're producing loads of anandamide, loads of phenylethylamine. So you feel so much love, so much joy. You know, your immune system feels really strong. So you're really just in the present moment with this person that's in front of you. So along with this, in cacao, it is it is very rich in magnesium. It is the most naturally occurring food source that gives us magnesium. And we all know that magnesium, again, is really good for brain focus, clarity, memory, concentration, really
Goodness.
good for
Yeah.
muscle soreness in the body. Cacao is full of chromium, which is really good for stabilizing your blood sugars, iron, sulfur, manganese, really good for your bone health, formation, teeth, hair, skin, nails. So, as we consecrate, as we drink cacao, we are drinking loads of theobromine, anandamide, phenylethylamine, magnesium, and all of the other benefits. So it brings the body into a beautiful vibration of love, joy, peace, calmness, stillness. And as we drink the cacao, we are also drinking the spirit of that tree. So it's really important for anything that we do in life that we set an intention. Like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this? Why am I doing this? So when we drink the cacao, um, the cacao plant will always bring happiness, force, and strength. But you can also set your own intention, like, please help me with clarity around decision making moving forward, or please help me let go of the anger. And as you drink the cacao, each and every time you're drinking it, you're drinking the prayers and the intention of the indigenous farmers, of the spirit of the medicine, and then you're also dropping deeper and deeper into your own consciousness, into yourself, because all of the mental clutter has been put to the side, and you're focused and you're grounded. So it's really good for allowing you to move forward, to find answers, not to find answers, but yeah, to listen, to actually listen to your soul, to listen to your spirit, and see what perhaps you have been avoiding. So yeah, it's really deeply healing plant.
That's amazing. So is it taken always ceremoniously, or do you take it every day, or how do you partake in with cacao?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question, because when I first went to a cacao ceremony and I received this cacao medicine, I felt that I had to go somewhere, like I had to be guided or I had to be in a ceremony. And actually, over my own research, because I was so interested in it, I read online, that anybody can do this at home. And this is what I really want to share a message about as well, is that you can do this at home. You don't need to be with somebody who's trained or has knowledge or background in it. The most important thing is that you are buying 100% ceremonial grade cacao from South or Central America, from Guatemala, Peru, Venezuela. That when you go into your local health food store, it is usually unlikely that they are selling 100% ceremonial grade cacao. Likely they will be selling it in a powder form, but this would highlight to me that it has been processed or tampered in some way to make it into a powder. Potentially, and most likely, it was produced in a factory. So it's really losing this indigenous, really sacredness of the plant. So to answer your question, yes, anybody can absolutely do this at home. Um, People that are pregnant or breastfeeding or some high blood pressure, just need or on medication for antidepressants, just need to be a bit more curious about it. But you'll find so much information online. And just to remember that this is a plant from the earth. Like this is literally a plant from the earth. It is so much more, let's say, less invasive or anything than drinking like a can of Coca-Cola. Like the chemicals that we put into our body sometimes, we don't think about that. But when it comes to plant medicine, when it comes to plants from the earth, people start to get a bit like, oh, I don't know how to use it. I don't know what to do. Like the earth will always support you. So there is so much information online. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I love, maybe you can hear it in my voice, sharing this message. And I can guide people. I can really guide people on how much to take. The ceremonial dose is definitely higher than a daily dose. I do have cacao every day. Every morning I wake up and I have cacao. It really helps to allow me to feel focused, bringing me into the present moment. And it also just really opens up my heart chakra. So I feel super engaged with those around me and with myself. And a daily dose is usually less than a ceremonial dose. And every day is different. It's not just like, oh, let's have 30 grams. Now, 30 grams is a recommended daily dose, but some days for me, it could be 10 grams, and I don't weigh it out. I just allow myself to be guided with what's needed in that moment. But I do understand and respect that some people like guidance. They like numbers, they like figures to know that they're doing it right, even though there is no right or wrong. But yeah, so I'm more than happy to help people with that. So again, just to make sure that you are buying ceremonial grade cacao, it should look like a really hard block, and they usually come in around 500 grams. And yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful info. Thank you so much. If you're going to do it in ceremony, is it similar to like a mushroom type of experience, meaning you start to tap into different dimensions, you start to open up and you're experiencing reality, or you could be experiencing reality in a different way? Or is it more grounding than that? Or I'm not sure.
Great question again. Thank you so much. Yes, because when people hear the word plant medicine, they think mushrooms, they think psilocybin, they think ayahuasca. It is a plant medicine because it is a medicine for the body and it comes from the earth, it comes from a plant. However, it is not a psychedelic. It will not take you into an altered state of consciousness. It will keep you in your body. It will bring you more into your body. It's super grounding. So there's nothing to be afraid of. If people are thinking, oh my God, it's a plant medicine, I can't touch that. It is not a psychedelic at all. It will bring you into your body, it connects you to your soul. It is so soft, it is so gentle, it's so kind. Um, yeah, so it allows you
Okay.
to check in with yourself. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful information. Thank you so much. Um, so, as we wrap up here, can you please tell us how people can find out more about you?
Super. Thank you, Kara. So the best place to find me is Instagram, and you'll find me there at Biofield with Niamh, and that's Biofield, and then Niamh is spelled Niamh. So the M and the H in the Irish language, when they come together, they pronounce a V. So Biofield with Niamh, that's Instagram. And then also that's the same for Facebook. And I also have a website, which is biofieldwithniamh.com. So if you type in something like this, something similar, you'll find me there for sure. If Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, I am more than happy to dive deeper with people, to share more about biofield tuning, about cacao, about my journey. Just get in touch.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'll have those links in the show notes as well to make it easy for people to find you. So, this has been really informative and illuminating. I really, really appreciate you being here and all of the service work that you're doing. It's really, really powerful and beautiful. So thanks so much for being here today, Niamh.
Thank you so much, Kara, and everyone listening.